in some part of the world, becoming an expat sometimes it could be an idea of just to test the waters. Like let's say you wanna leave your country for any reason. You might just burn out from your job, or burn out from, or having a personal situation like a divorce, like having situations in which you don't really want to stay on your home country for any reason. It could be financial instability. It could be different, even family issues. um, so it's very common nowadays that, especially from Western countries, we're talking about Europe, Australia, United States, Canada. Typically, uh, people are living in droves. I mean, many people are leaving their own home country to find another place where you are treated better. Meaning, in many ways, in which you can, if you have an investment, especially if you retire from your job, from your 9 to 5 job. If you're retired and or you are laid off, and you're out of, basically out of your niche, out of your community, where you don't feel like, that you feel you want to test new water, you want to travel the world, you want to smell the roses. That's what some people call. And some people go to Latin America and Southeast Asia to test the waters, basically, to like a planning like a couple years, or sometimes even shorter period of time, 6 months. uh, and even some people just go for a vacation just to see how things are. um, the idea of, in the future, of course, retire in a nice, quiet place, and where everything is cheaper, where your money can be spent, where you can just buy things spending less money. I mean, the cost of living. You are really looking for a better quality of life, especially if the retirement, if you have the social security pension, that in which, like, the average right now, I think is like a $1,400, like. And in places Latin America, in Latin America and Southeast Asia, like Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, and on, Vietnam is becoming very popular, where many people are flooding from Western countries. Let's talk about the Philippines. Today we want to mention. I want to mention this a YouTuber expat, and an expat and YouTuber named, some of you probably most likely are familiar with this fellow, Mark Thornton. Mark Thornton was, he had his name, his YouTube nickname, I would say. uh, every man has a story, and he was a very, with over 100,000 subscribers. He was very much a popular YouTuber in the Philippines. He was typical, he was one of those stories that had inspired many thousands and thousands of other expats that came flooding to the Philippines in recent years. I think he was one of the first generation of expats and YouTubers at the same time, apparently, that now that has become very popular. That if you could move to a different, to another, immediately you sign up for a YouTube channel. I mean, start your own YouTube channel, and telling people from wherever you are, whether this is like a Thailand or the Philippines or Latin America. Of course, in Central America here, there are many expats that are, they start a YouTube channel right away, basically right away, and start telling others back home, wherever they are, whether this is the U.S. or Canada, or telling back home through this new venue, community, venue, which is the YouTube channel, how life is. I mean, how life really is. So, talking about every man has a story when he passed away. I mean, I'm just uh, trying to, rescue some of his legacy, and try to, make, if you make, have a little take about his legacy, his memory, respectfully, of course, respectfully, to his young wife, and a small, I think a toddler. Like, I think the child that he left behind is not. He was like almost close to 1 year old. I remember when he was posting from Dumaguete, this popular spot for new expats in the Philippines, huh? And a nest of, I mean, there has been an invasion, invasion of new YouTubers. I mean, it seems that every other expat is a YouTuber in the in Dumaguete, this popular medium-sized town in the Philippines, in the provincial area. So talking about Mark Thornton and his legacy, which is the purpose of this video, is that well, it was an inspiration for many an influence. He was an influence, and he wasn't just any regular, I would say, just a YouTuber who's that he was somewhere around the world. Well, he was making little money, little here, and telling, but he was most I would say an influencer. He had a really great influence in he was from the United States, to many Americans who flooded to the Philippines and other parts of the world, just like here in Latin America. I mean, his subscriber count was extending so far beyond the Philippine border, beyond the United States, beyond the Western countries. And of course, his story was that I think he was a car, first he was a car salesman, and then he started working at a cruise ship, right, where he met some Filipinos. As you know, many cruise ships and cargo ships too. Many of the people who work at these big ships are from Oriental descent, especially Filipinos, and some of them, of course, from Vietnam and other countries, but and Latin America too. There are many agencies that contracts people from Latin America to work at a cruise ship or cargo ship, big ship containers, what they call. So one of his legacy was that that he married, the age gap relationship that he described so efficiently. I mean, he did describe in his own experience, right? And how was working his age gap relation with his young wife. I mean, he was almost like a 40 years, I would say 40, because he was 73 and the girl was like 20 in her, she's still in the Philippines, of course, the widow now. So over 40 years age gap relationship, which was very successful. I mean, one of the one of his most popular videos were that where he was with his young wife, and eventually in his last year of he passed away a couple of months ago, in his last year with his young child, as a toddler, just a few months. I mean, the whole story of how they interacted each other with his young wife. It was really outstanding, amazing, and very much example for many thousands and millions of people. I mean, that was the opposite of what the general idea is that of a marriage. I mean, in the Western world, and so that was very much one of his legacy, that the popular, how he described what were the myths of when you marry somebody, or like older than you, whether there's a female or male. It could be, well, in this case, well, he was the man and the wife was a female, but just moving to a third, what people call third world country like the Philippines or Latin America. I mean, myself, I'm one of those. That I'm on a, my marriage is my relationship with my wife is like, it's like plenty of age gap. It's like a 20 years gap, right? And we've been married more than a year, and I'm just opening up a little bit about what my own situation, I don't want to call situation, my own relationship, and it's been working. It's been working great, just like the example of Mark Thornton, the popular YouTuber, which was he popularized his channel as an every man has a story, that on his own, when he was, of course, he was interviewing many people with in the Philippines, in his area where he lived in Dumaguete until his last year, right, of life. I mean, just a couple of months ago he passed away. That he described, and he interviewed other many, American and Australians and other from Europe, from North, especially from French guys, Germans, and British guys, British expats in the Philippines, with in the same situation of being and with the age gap relationship. And how was because the idea that many people go to the Philippines or Latin America to retire. Well, some people come married. I mean, they come with their significant others from the States or from Canada. They bring their wife or their spouse. I mean, the husband, right? But many, mostly, I would say like 95, 96% of the time, 96% of men, mostly men, leaving their countries to become an expat, they come looking for what they are missing in their home country, which is love, basically. I mean, the female, which is one of the most important decisions in life. I mean, besides having a job, right? I think the most important decision in life is the person you choose. I mean, the person you make a decision and you commit to that person, whether it's male or female. I mean, if you are a female, of course, you're looking for the husband. That's the one of the most important decisions, which is for life decision that you make as a single person. And he told his story that he got of course he got divorced in the States, came to the Philippines, and he was coming for. He said in one of his videos that he was coming for a year or two, maybe just to test the waters, right? Check it out. Put the boots in the ground, what they call, right? So in his case, he always explained it how happy he was. I mean, and his interview, of course, there were many. Nothing is perfect in life, guys. I mean, even he was describing his relationship with his wife, like being a very happy, couple, very happy until his last day. I mean, he was his last video was he posted was days before he passed away. I mean, it was a he had a heart condition. He had a heart condition and related of illnesses, of course, that relates to the heart. And he had a stroke, of course, and he was rushed to the hospital. Didn't make it, basically. But before that, just days before, he was really in good shape. I mean, think about how fragile it could be, even for younger people, anybody younger than his age was. He was like, I think, 70, 71. And he always he was talking about, on his videos about, that he will have like another extra, who knows, 10, 15 years, who knows, right? He was very much healthy, but things happened. I mean, there were a few incidents that in which he wasn't involved. Apparently, well, just one particular incident at a restaurant where he was with his own young wife and somebody apparently offended. I'm not really going into the details of what happened, but there were some little issues he was dealing with. Nothing is, like I say, nothing is perfect, 100% perfect in life. But he was dealing with that. Of course, he was dealing with the everyday issues. But he seemed, very much, guys, I never met the guy in person, but I related to a little bit, to what his life story was. I mean, the Philippines is like thousands of miles away from mainland South America, so Central America, mainland the U.S., right? With Central America is just 3.5 hours away from where from the mainland USA. So there's a big difference, of course, in culture. There's a different the cost of living is very similar to Latin America, I would say, but the cultures, even though the Philippines had little Spanish influence at one point over like 100 years ago, the Spanish had a colony. I mean, there was there's very much influence of the Spanish culture, right? So in that sense, we kind of relate to Latin America, like as cultural values that he was always explaining how it was in the Philippines, when he says that the family values, the family foundation, the people, how people live there in an area or in a neighborhood where everybody lives. The grandpa lives in the same place, then in the same block. That the cousin, the aunt, whoever is there, whoever related relative to the person who is getting married, that they're invited to basically live in the same neighborhood. Or, I mean, the family foundation is always there. I mean, the and the respect for the elders. I mean, it's always uh, amazingly, one of the one of the treasure in Latin America and in Southeast Asia is this respect for older people, like older people in, even whether this is a grandpa, grandma, or even other grandpas or grandmas. I mean, in general, there's a great deal of respect for. So the family needs that the Filipino, the Filipino culture that is very similar to Latin America. So myself, I was always interested on his videos, what he was describing his relationship with his Filipino family, right? That was related to his wife. I mean, his young wife, of course. I mean, his wife was from a single, humble, background that just he met through friends. Some friends that he had met in Dumaguete, like this fellow named another YouTuber named Enrique, all these other YouTubers who had really great influence on his journey in the Philippines. So the transition wasn't really hard for him to be able to settle down in the Philippines, especially in Dumaguete, which is one of the most popular spots, and for that keeps attracting many expats that are coming from all over the world. And another popular sport is, of course, BGC. BGC is Bonifacio Grand Central, right? Grand City, which is located in one of the districts of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. So it was very influential in the YouTube community, and not just the YouTube community in Dumaguete, but of course for those of us who did follow, I did follow his videos. I mean his postings very much, at least twice a week or 3 times a week. I was there, to check what was new, and he did explain about his heart condition and everything about how to settle in the Philippines. I mean, whether you have to how to deal with the immigration system in the Philippines, what's the new laws. I mean, how to settle, down, and how to open a bank account. I mean, things very much every daily life, everything about the daily life activities for anybody who's new in a country in which you have to settle down. I mean, you test the waters and the culture. Of course, the Philippines is one of those countries that the English language is the official language in the country, and that did help. He was explaining clearly, which is not the case in Central America. In Central America, the only country that has the official language is Belize, which is a very small country next to Guatemala, which has bordered with Guatemala and Honduras too. We share the sea, the Atlantic coast, which we had the border with Belize. Of course, Costa Rica too. I mean, Costa Rica, the English language. I mean, the English language is very well spoken for millions of people in Costa Rica. And then, of course, they learn as a second language. So if you arrive, like say, in places like San Jose International Airport, you get there, and it's very common to the taxi drivers and the first people you get in touch with, like at customs and immigration in Costa Rica, the taxi drivers, and so on and on. You go to the restaurants, and it's very common. To be able to communicate in English. I mean, if you're coming from Canada, US, or the United Kingdom, to communicate in places in Costa Rica. I mean, if you go to the provinces like Guanacaste and other coastal areas, very popular for expats, where they have. I have to mention that in Costa Rica, at least 100,000 people, and the numbers are increased. 100,000 people, expats, have already settled down, and there are very few. Sometimes you hear stories about that. Some expats are leaving because the inflation in Costa Rica, the prices are increasing, and it's becoming just unlivable. That's what they call it, right? But very few exceptions. People are still flooding to Central America, places like Costa Rica, Panama. Now with the situation going with Panama, having a little feud with, not feud. I mean, not little feud, I would say, but there was some disagreement between some with the U.S. government about important policies, but that has nothing to do with expats moving to Central America to looking for a better quality of life. Of course, when you come to Central America, I mean, if you have to explore first. You have to put boots on the ground, and explore prices. Talk to local people. You can talk to other expats, just like Mark Thornton was recommending when he was alive. I mean, one of his legacies is that information is key. Do your research is key. It's like you go to a place, and not just Central America, you go to South America, you go to Southeast Asia, like Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia. I mean, you have to find out what the local custom is. I mean, what the local law. I mean, some laws that applies to you as a foreigner. I mean, there have to be rules that you have to follow, and for basic things. I mean, basic things, how to process your resident visa. I mean, if you come for 3 months, most countries like Honduras, they give you 90-day stay with no question asked. I mean, you stay for 90 days. But let's say you want to have a driver's license like in places like Honduras, right? And then, of course, if you have, the best thing to do is that you apply for the driver's license. I mean, and the requirements are very easy to follow. You have your own passport. You apply, for, if you have your own driver's license from your home country, you show that, and that's very much the equivalent. That you can just apply for the driver's license, and you're gonna have it. You follow the rules, do the testing, and not even a couple of weeks later, you're gonna have your own driver's license, like for instance. And to open a bank account, of course, there's another procedures. But once you put the boots on the ground, and you get the proper information with proper people who live in these communities, and then you follow the requirements. I mean, what you need to, if you live here, of course, you have to do your daily spending. I mean, for spending money, you need gas if you rent a car. Or what if you want to buy a car or have a lease? You want to lease or rent a house, of course, in different sections of the city. The main cities are Tegucigalpa, San Pedro Sula, Ceiba, but very popular nowadays is Bay Island, one of the 18 provinces of Honduras. That's what's called Islas de la Bahia, where thousands of visitors have come in the last year. Just alone 2024 has been amazing, and they expect an increase of 50% this year of cruise ship coming. And guess what does that mean? Cruise ships arriving in Bay Island, that many people just go to the land, spend 2 or 3 days, a couple of days, but it gives you a good idea of what to expect in this province. It's a beautiful. It's been named one of the most beautiful island in Latin America, not just in Central America. So hopefully, this information about Mark Thornton and his legacy of that he helped, really, he did. I mean, he advocated for many people. I mean, one of his interviews, I remember, he was advocating for a fellow American that he was stranded in the Philippines with nothing to really go for him, So he had to fly back to the U.S. and he had no plane ticket to go back. Think about that. So he and others, of course, like old dog that he calls Paul in the Philippines, right? The old dog, Paul, the old dog, the other YouTuber, and they had a public campaign to raise little funds for this fellow American who was stranded in the Philippines, and he had really serious issues. So he was really with a kind heart. I mean, he had a heart, and I think that's the way he won so many subscribers. I mean, being genuine, being open heart, with open heart. I mean, he was very compassionate to his fellow Americans in the Philippines, compassionate and very with his wife, his young wife, relatives and family, and many others, that in the Philippines. So his legacy goes beyond having a YouTube channel. Really, his legacy is still there. Every once in a while, I think about what could have been for him. I mean, he was so healthy, I mean, what if he made it to the 80s, 80 or 85, 90? He was gonna see his 1 year old child that now is 1 year old. Well, he's grow to become like a 20-year old, 15 years old, who knows, a professional. But he did everything that he could to for the boys, benefits. His like passports, his US passport with the consulate. I mean, he was describing every week. He was posting every week about, he was passionate about, he loved his family so much, man. That was very much a, amazing. I mean, when I hear the story, I was in shock. I mean, I hear the story from other YouTubers. They say, wow, wow, but like a big news, a sad news, not just in Dumaguete or in the Philippines, but all over the YouTube community in Latin America and Central America, where I'm posting this video. So, guys, life is fragile, I would say, but hope, have faith, guys. Have faith in what you're doing, and of course, starting a new channel. I think he was one of my inspiration to start a new channel, because I knew that when I watch him, and I watch others too, of course, that I could do it too. I mean, I could, of course, you don't copy somebody else's, thing. You don't have to be somebody else. I mean, but of course, uh, the advice and his tips about what to do, what not to do. I mean, wherever you are, whether this is in the Philippines or whether it's a foreign land in Latin America. So that helped me out a lot to start my new channel about three months ago. And I had to take this time and this video to mention him. I never met the guy. I never met him, but I wish if I one day I could travel to the Philippines, that I could post something and say, hey, I'm from from different continent. I'm here, but I wish I can meet you to have a cup of coffee, because he always invited to his subscribers. He always said that, look, if you're in town in Dumaguete, drop me an email, drop me a text message, and maybe we can have a cup of coffee, or who knows, an interview or something like that. That's how he got so many of his good interviews that helps many expats in the world, not just in Philippines, in Central America, where I'm posting this video, and that I'm sure that in Central America, Mexico, and Latin America, many expats saw his video. Many were also his subscribers. And I don't know what the status of this channel is, but hopefully this young wife, will follow or will take over the channel and keep posting on his memory. So, guys, thanks for watching. I'll leave you with this, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and if you really like these contents, please subscribe. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Take care.